We're live now. Oh my God, we're live, guys. Hello, it's the 25th of March, 8 o'clock, and we're doing another webinar. I just walked in. I see that the lights are completely out of alignment. There's some stuff that is a bit off tonight, but nevertheless, the camera is here, the microphone is there. I got my laptop over here, so we're gonna do a nice webinar. Never mind, Pavel. I think the lights is good. It's all okay. So we're gonna do how to get motivated. All right, guys. My name is Erik. You can probably tell by my accent. I am actually not Irish or English or American. I'm actually Dutch. That is from Holland. I came to Ireland about 3 years ago. Got a background in engineering and economics, and one of the things that I really love is actually to import data, especially knowledge, with other people and stuff that that I learned from, and I gained things from that knowledge. And I like to pass that on to others. That's basically my main drive, my motivation when it comes to motivation. That's my motivation in life. Now, we're here tonight on Zoom. I can see we have a bunch of people here on Zoom. We're also on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on Instagram. So I want to welcome everybody. It's great to have you. Normally we always do a little introductory round by just asking like, hey, where are you from and why are you here tonight? I would love to hear from you. The chat is wide open. It would be great if you could just drop a line quickly. Me, I'm like this kind of like typist, so I'm not going fast. If you're like me, maybe just want to let us know where you're from. But maybe if you're a bit of a faster typer, maybe just want to let us know what brought you to this specific topic. Yeah, what is this thing for you with regards to how to get motivated? So I'm just going to give you guys a couple of seconds, and let's see who we have in the chat. We got Azan Dar. That's nice to have you. And we got Chantel McDowell. I think we saw you before. It's great to have you back. Then we have KM. I think we saw you recently as well. If I'm right, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's great to see you. Then we have Kat. I think we also saw you. Was that by any chance on Meetup, Kat? Let's see. We got Kyle. Kyle is Kyle is a true follower. He's almost here. He's here almost every week. Oh, Pavel, my battery's running low. Maybe you can actually handle the connection here, Pavel. What? I see that my battery is running low. So then we got Laila Breivik. I assume, Laila, are you from Norway by any chance, or Scandinavia? Seems like a Scandinavian name that you have. And then we got Laura Futsch. Also, ich glaube, das ist Deutsch. Stimmt es? Then we got Madri. Madri, is nice to have you. I had a landlady in the past when I was living in Amsterdam, and her name was Madri, so it brings back good memories. Then we got Morris. Nice to have you, Morris Good. Nadia, Aurelia, beautiful. Philip Wright. Tina, Twomi, good to have you. And Walter Bembik. That's cool. All right, so everybody is already chatting away. Lovely. Let's see what we have. So, Walter, you're from Croatia. Amazing, Walter. I've seen a couple of your emails in the past. It's nice to have you here. Then we got KM. All right, it's a yes. I assume that you're happy with that and with my question, right? You've been here before. Philip, you're from Plymouth. That is fantastic. Azan. I hope, Azan, I'm actually pronouncing your name correctly. So you're from Bristol, UK. That's fantastic. Madri, hi all. Yes, Madri, hello to you. All right, Nadia, you're from Southeast Asia. Ah, amazing. All right. I've only been to India so far, and I assume that is not what where you're from then, maybe Philippines or Vietnam. Laura, also von Deutschland. Gut, okay. Das haben wir schon gesehen. Sehr gut. Okay, KM from Brazil. Fantastic. Falas Portuguese, no? Okay, Philip. FES. Can't escape Bristol. Okay. Philip, you gotta let me in on the acronym FES. no idea what that means. That's my lack of English, I suppose. All right. And Lila, yes, Norway. Beautiful, guys. Okay, good. So, maybe we could actually have the phones switched off and not be disturbed. I hope that we're actually going to wrap it up before 8 o'clock. Now, maybe you want to ask yourself, maybe you've asked this question like, but why him? In other words, why me? What makes him an authority on this whole subject of motivation? And just in a nutshell, when I was studying, I studied electronics and economics, and I even studied Spanish. And the whole point was that I had no direction in life. I had no idea what was I going to do with my life. Where was I going to take myself? And I've been pounding and thinking about that for, I guess, for a few decades. Right? It already started when I was young. I had no idea what to do with my life. I had no direction. And then later on, when I actually started to study, there was this one person that was doing the same studies, and he kept a meticulous agenda and calendar for himself. And it went so far that he would say, all right, so I got college up till 3:30, and by 4 o'clock I will be home. And from 4 till 5 I will study this subject, and from 5 to 6 I will study this subject, and then from 6 to 7 I will prepare my food, and then from 7 to 8 I will study this subject. And he showed us, me and some other friends, he showed us his calendar and his planning. And we had kind of like smirks on our faces, like, well, yeah, look at him, you know. Guess what? This guy actually ran his own company 5 years later, and was already a millionaire. So he definitely had motivation, right? And he definitely had direction. He actually knew what he was going to do with his life. And I was always puzzled about it. What is this that he has and I don't? And so for me, I felt like I need to find out. I need to find out. Unfortunately enough, at some point, I discovered some books, some data that greatly helped me out. So by the end of the evening, I'm going to tell you, basically throughout the webinar, I'm going to refer to a book. But moreover, by the end of the evening, I want to give you more tools that will help you to basically get up and reach higher in life, right? So that is what you can expect. Now, the first thing I wanted to look up tonight is the word motivation. And motivation, that basically means to stimulate towards action, to stimulate yourself toward action, right? So it comes from Latin. It comes from Latin, movere. Movere. And of course, we know English, and right away we see this part here, which is to move. And to move basically means to push away or to push forward, right? If you move something, you push it forward, you push it away. And that's exactly what you do with motivation. There needs to be this push. If that push is not there, then nothing is going to happen. Now, what is the strongest motivation one can have? That is the first thing we want to have a look at. What is the strongest motivation you can have? And it would be something like this. You got an individual here, and he actually knows what he wants in life. He has a distinct goal, just like the person that I just referred to, that was one of my fellow students back in university. This guy had a distinct goal. Now, if you look around in your own environment, maybe social ties, family ties, friends, you'll probably find that those people who are making it in life, they're pursuing certain goals. They know what they want. You've probably seen that, right? They know what they want. All right, let me see, Philip. Okay, good. Thank you for your comments, Philip. And now and then, I'm just looking in the chat. But here it is. Those people who are successful, who are driven, the first thing that you will find is they have certain goals and certain purposes. Now, if that is absent, then you're going to get something very, very different. You're going to see a person that is seemingly going in all kinds of cardinal directions. In other words, if there is no goal, you have a question mark. And a question mark is kind of confusing. That means there is no certainty. There is no certainty whatsoever as to what is it that I really want to do in life. What is it that makes me happy? It could even be a calling, but what is it that you want to do? And you may find yourself going in all kinds of cardinal directions, right? So that is the first thing that I want to show here. Does that sound reasonable? That in order to be motivated at all, at least you need to know where it is that you want to go. Does that sound logical, guys? Does it make some sense? Just a quick recap with you. Are you tracking? So I have a bit of an idea if I need to elaborate on that or not. I see that my markers are a bit weak. All right, Walter, yes. All right, makes a lot of sense. That's good. All right. So I hope you can see this, guys. It's in green. I actually ordered new markers. They haven't arrived yet, but good. So now here's an interesting thing, yeah? Let's wipe this out. So if we first have that picture where you want to pursue a goal. So the first idea is to have direction. The first idea is to have direction, right? Now, probably the next thing that might come up is that you do have a goal in mind, but then you're running into some kind of a barrier. And this barrier, for example, it could be your own fear. I'll give you an example. I used to have tremendous difficulties making phone calls. And it would really introvert me. It would give me the nut in the stomach every time. So I had this idea. I wanted to be in sales, and I wanted to be successful in sales. I always loved sales, but there was this one thing. There was this one thing that I could not do. And I was kind of like terrified about the whole thing. It seemed like a phobia. So it was running into my own barriers. The idea, the thought that making phone calls was really the most difficult thing to do for me. So maybe you have seen this in your own life, that you kind of like, you know what it is that you want to do, but then every time you're running into this barrier. So what I want to ask you is, what kind of barrier do you run into? Do you run into a real barrier? Like, for example, well, transportation from here to work takes me too long, or I cannot work in an air-conditioned area, or whatever real barrier it could be. Or do you find yourself running into your own considerations, your mental barriers? So, A, would be real barriers, or B would be mental. Mental thoughts, mental considerations. What is the thing that you're mostly running into? What kind of barriers do you mostly run into? Okay, so we got Nadia, laziness, procrastination. Thank you very much. Ruth, hey Ruth, you're there. Mental barriers, okay. Thank you for the answer. All right, we got Laura B, fear. No good. Thank you very much. We got Loda. I need to eat more to have more energy for the things I want to do. High metabolism. All right, so that seems to be like a genuine, a real barrier. Right, Laura? Now, the funny thing here is that, you know, when you have a metabolism that goes very, very fast, it could even be that there's some stress involved, right? That could also be a factor. Walter says real barriers, roads, etc. exist, but actually are the mental barriers for about this subject. Laura, yeah, okay, cool. Now, so basically, it's kind of interesting because we kind of create our own problems. And how is that? How is that? If we look at that factor there, right, that arrow there, this is like an intention. That's like an intention to do something, right? That is this push. You want to move. There's something inside you that really wants to achieve that goal, that really wants to go for it. There's definitely something there that has the intention, the willpower to achieve something. But then at the same time, you've probably seen that before. There is this vector that goes right against it. What you could say is a counter-intention. Now, interestingly, if you have one vector going this way, another vector going that way, of course they bounce, and actually it doesn't go anywhere. The whole thing hangs up in the middle. So now you get this. That is actually what a problem is. A problem is simply an intention versus a counter intention, right? There's something there that wants to go this way, and there's something there which is opposite that wants to go that way. So you want to go out to the movies, right? And your girlfriend says, no, I don't want to go. It's the opposite. Or you want to have a raise in salary, and your boss says it's not going to happen. It's the opposite. So these could be real intentions, counter intentions, and the whole thing just hangs up in the middle. That's why you have a problem. A problem is just two intentions opposed of a similar magnitude, right? And the interesting part here that we're going to look at is that is actually, it can actually come from your own mind. Now, would that make sense? Would that make sense that you can actually stop yourself? What do you guys think? Would it actually make sense that you can actually stop yourself? Walter says definitely. Okay. I want to hear some other takes on that. Laura, how? Yeah. Okay, we're gonna have a look at that, Laura. I'm just curious if we actually stop ourselves. What is your opinion on that? Ruth, yes, you can. Sorry guys, my throat's letting me down. All right, now, let me see. Oh, Michael Sheridan, subconscious blocks stop us from changing and moving towards our goals. That is that's amazing, Michael. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's do this. So let's say you do know where you want to go. Let's say you do know where you want to go. Let's say you do have direction. Now, maybe sometimes you feel uncomfortable with certain people, or in a certain situation, or in a certain location. So let me elaborate on that. Let me give you a bit of an idea. So the whole idea here is that we can feel uncomfortable. So you probably felt perhaps a bit uncomfortable in front of your boss, or in front of a recruiter, or maybe even in front of a teacher. You probably have experienced that you felt uncomfortable with certain people. Maybe you have been feeling uncomfortable in certain situations. Maybe if you just go back to your school years, you had to talk in public in front of a group of people, and perhaps it made you feel very, very uncomfortable to be in that situation. Some people find it very, very uncomfortable to take a lead and say, let's delegate and lead a group and tell people what to do. You can imagine all kinds of situations where you might feel actually uncomfortable. It's the kind of thing that you prefer not to be in. And there might even be locations that make you feel uncomfortable. Let's say you feel shy and now somebody drags you over to the dance floor. You say, well, yeah, but I can dance. Or somebody drags you over to a karaoke bar. And say, well, I can't sing. And I can imagine that maybe you feel very uncomfortable in a doctor's office or a dentist. So have you actually seen that you yourself, you feel uncomfortable, like anxious, nervous, perhaps afraid or tense or stressed in front of a certain person or in a certain situation or in a certain location? Have you seen that? Just a quick question for you. Have you seen that you're running into these kind of situations in life? That some people make you uncomfortable, but that certain situations make you uncomfortable. That certain locations perhaps make you uncomfortable. Walter, thank you very much. You've seen that? Maybe somebody else? You can also say A or B or C. To be more specific, is there certain people that make you uncomfortable? Is there certain situations that you have observed? Madhuri says yes, all three. Okay. That is bravery, Madhuri. Thank you for letting us know. Ruth, B, okay, so certain situations. All right, Michael Bamberg, yeah, a lot of situations. Doing presentations is one. Okay. Nadia, A, right, a certain person. Good. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. If you ask yourself, do you want to be stressed or nervous or insecure or uncomfortable with that person? You would probably say no. Do you want to be stressed, insecure, uncertain, without any confidence and what have you in certain situations? You would say no. The same thing for C, right? All right, so that is, I have a social anxiety. Good. Thank you very much for telling us. Yeah. We're going to actually have a look where this is coming from, Nadia. So here is here's an interesting fact. Just an observation. Just an observation. So when we feel uncomfortable or stressed or nervous or insecure, what is it that we are going to do? How are we going to respond? If that feeling is there, that feeling just comes in. Well, we're gonna tackle that in 5-10 minutes from now. But if the feeling comes in, what is that we're going to do? Are we going to do A? Are we going to attack? Let me see if that marker is not great. And I got the same here. It's not going to get any better. So, if we have this, are we going to attack the problem? In other words, are we going to move forward? Or are we going to do B? Are we going to withdraw? Or are we going to do C? Do nothing. Just stay in the location. What do you normally observe in yourself? When we are in a situation, like you know that you have to talk to the boss, or you have to talk to somebody, or you have to put yourself through that uncomfortable situation. You know, you have to put yourself in that location. What are you going to do? Are you going to attack the problem? Are you going to withdraw? Or are you just going to idle and not go into action nor withdraw? What do you normally see doing? So Laura, you say, okay, you withdraw or do nothing. Madri, with people I withdraw from them, all right? Michael, avoid a situation that makes us feel uncomfortable, right? So you see right away what human behavior is, right? Rarely anybody actually goes into really attacking the situation, or you could say handling the situation, right? Now, there's an interesting thing at play here. And that thing is actually what I want to share with you. It comes from this book. It's called The Problems of Work. The Problems of Work. It's written by L. Ron Hubbard. He basically is a best-selling author. Sold more than 140 million copies of his works. It's unbelievable. It's 4 times in the Guinness Book of Records. And L. Ron Hubbard is also the founder of Dianetics and Scientology. This is basically a toolbox for your work to be more organized, to be more efficient. But there's an interesting chapter in the book, and the chapter is called Life as a Game. Life as a game. So let me elaborate on that. Let's say you're a soccer player. And as a soccer player, your goal, we're talking about goals and purposes, you can imagine that you want to score. So you got your goal over there, the net. And of course you want to get the goal into the net. You want to score, right? And that will be a game. that will be a game. You have a clear goal in mind that you want to achieve. Now, what you see right away is that there is going to be barriers. And of course, in a soccer game, the barrier would be, well, you're going to run into a defender. And this person is going to try to stop you from making that goal. Now, if you would overcome that barrier and you would score the goal, this is quite important. What you're going to have in return is some freedom. I hope you can read that. So now we actually got 3 elements in this game. You can look at any game that you want to play, and you always find that there's a certain goal that you want to reach. There's a certain purpose that you're doing it for, and you're running into barriers. But every time when you overcome a barrier, it will result in some freedom. So let's take a very, very simple example. Let's say the new game is just to get a job. You're kind of like financially broke, and you want to have some money in the bank. All right, so the barrier that you have to overcome is that maybe you have to travel the distance in order to talk to an HR person, or maybe a company's director. That will be the barrier, because you have to convince this person why you are the one who actually deserves the job. So that could be quite a barrier, right? Now you can imagine that if you would overcome that barrier, there's going to be some freedom as a reward. Would that make some sense? So life has got three elements. Everything that you do in life is a game. You may have the goal there to build a house. Okay, so now you have to go through all the paperwork, right? You have to get all the money together, and so on. So you're running into a lot of barriers. And when you overcome these barriers, you're going to get some freedom in return. Would that make some sense? So let's say there's something that you have in mind that you want to achieve, but it feels like it's impossible to do because you're running into all these barriers. Your own lack of confidence, your insecurities, the stress that it gives you. And you go like, oh my God, that is so hard to do. But imagine that if you would overcome those barriers, you're going to get some freedoms in return. That makes some sense, yeah? Now here's a very, very interesting observation. It's a very interesting datum. And normally is this: the bigger the barrier, the greater the freedom. In other words, you can expect that if you want to have a whole lot of freedom for yourself, which is like a big fat salary, or just imagine that whatever it is that you want for yourself, you can expect that the barrier might be quite a big one. Now, on the other hand, if you feel that you can actually handle a huge barrier, then you can also expect that a big freedom is awaiting you. And the most interesting freedom here is that when you handle a specific barrier, you overcome that. After that, mentally, you will also be more free. Because now you actually overcame something that you were afraid of, and you did it. So there's a boost in your own confidence. Now, here's a quick question. Have you ever observed that you did something that you felt like, oh my God, this is so hard to do. I'm not sure if I will ever be able to do that. And you did it nevertheless. And then you had such a good feeling. You had that feeling of being free. There was something there that you did. You'd finally done it. Have you seen that? Have you seen that in yourself? You went through some barriers and actually gotten some freedoms in return. Nadia, can you make some more example about this? Yes, for sure. Well, actually, I'm gonna bring that up in the upcoming examples. So, but I can tell you one thing, for example, from my own experience, and it was not a definite handling. It wasn't a definite handling, but it was some kind of a handling. So at the beginning of the webinar, I said, like, you know, I had like this phobia almost for making phone calls. Every time I had to make a phone call, I had the knot in the stomach. And I had that feeling of anxiety, butterflies in the stomach all over, right? Just so much stress. I said, well, one way or the other, I have to tackle this. And I actually signed up to work in a call center. And I took just quite a steep gradient. I signed up to work for the Red Cross and do fundraising. You know, if you're in a call center, you know, the whole thing is running on computers. You just get one phone call after another. You can't even take breaks unless you're entitled to have your break. You put the pause button, right? But otherwise, you hang up, you got 20 seconds, and the next call comes in. So, and I had to overcome that mental barrier and kind of like flatten it, you know, make it seem less profound, right? It took me about 2 weeks, and I got a bit better at it. And after 3 months, it didn't give me these kind of nerves anymore. Now, did I have that total freedom that I wanted? No. Did I get some freedom by actually tackling those barriers? Yes, because I definitely got better at it. Now, the whole thing is that I actually wanted to eliminate that mental barrier forever. It simply had to be gone. So let's go into that chapter. Let's see what's here. Okay, well, the Bamba totally understand, great idea, like it so much, but didn't have something that big, or don't remember it, but I feel it. Okay, good. Now, so what I want to talk with you is, what I want to talk about is that why do we imagine all these barriers? Why do we create so much trouble? Why do we create so much difficulty for ourselves? Have you ever wondered? Have you ever wondered why you create so much difficulty for yourself? Like the problems that we invent, the things that we get stuck in. So it has to do with the mind. There's something in the mind there that just blocks us. I want to give you an example. All right, so little mind drill, yeah? Can you remember primary school? Now, I would say that, primary school. Maybe you get some flashes, some pictures. Maybe you can see the building. Maybe you can see the playground, the courtyard. Maybe if I would say, well, can you remember one of the classrooms? Do you see where were the windows? Do you see where was the blackboard? Where was the teacher sitting? Where would the door be to the classroom to go in and out? Now maybe you got some pictures. Maybe it's going to be a bit more alive if I would say, where is your remote control? Where is your remote control? Where is it? You might actually get a picture. Maybe you say, well, you know, I got it on the dresser, or I got it on the table. You might actually get a picture. If I would say, where's your cutlery? Just try to get that picture. Where's your cutlery? Where is it? Where do you keep your cutlery? All right, so big quick question here. Who actually got some pictures here? Who actually saw some pictures flashing by? Maybe a picture of the drawer in the kitchen. Or maybe a picture of your remote control, a picture of primary school. Kyle, absolutely. Okay. Fantastic. Who else? Who else got some pictures here? Who saw some memories? Some images? All right, Laura. You. That's fantastic. Good. Who else got some pictures? Let's make it a bit real, guys. Who got some pictures? Who got some flashbacks, some memories? Walter, okay, good, from primary school. Yards, lobbies, rooms. Rooms less, some. One yes, some. All right, good. That's cool. So thank you, Walter. That's great. Good. So we're dealing with our mind, yeah? That will be your body. This is your mind that actually kind of like is like a sketch of your mind. Your mind makes pictures. And you're making pictures all the time. If I would say, did you ever have a pet? A picture probably comes to your mind. If I would say, can you remember a nice holiday? Some pictures may come to your mind. Now, if you don't see pictures, that's not a problem. But we can demonstrate that it's definitely recorded. You can imagine that you're sitting in your favorite chair in the living room in the house where you grew up. And then say, if I was sitting here, then you kind of know that the table would be right there. The window would be right there. The door would be over there. The TV would be over there. You kind of like know where these things are. Even right now, maybe if I would say, where's your cutlery? You may not get a picture, but you do have a recording where you actually put your cutlery. Right? So it is stored somewhere. You may not get the picture, but the knowingness is there. And these things that we know are actually recorded by means of pictures. Now we call these mental images. We call those mental images. Very, very interesting stuff. Because what's so unique about these images is that you cannot really touch them. They're not tangible. Your mind is not something that you can touch. It's not tangible. Now, for that reason, it's called mental. So these are mental images. Now, it's interesting that they just pop up in space. And you can actually, like I just said, you can actually imagine that you're sitting in your favorite chair in the living room, and you can just like close your eyes and see all the different objects about you in that room. You can actually see that. So that will be your mind. There's a whole webinar dedicated to how does the mind work, how does it hold you back, but I'm just going to give you a snapshot tonight. So imagine that you're carrying around millions and millions and millions of these pictures. You can think back of school, you can think back of middle school, you can think back of college, and you just get all kinds of pictures. So I would say, think of your mom or dad, you get a picture. It's that simple, yeah? It's like, it's instantaneous that you get these pictures. Now imagine here, like way back when, you walked into an alley, you walked into a dark alley, and then soon later, you found yourself in pain, lying on the floor, and you were in fear, and you just found out that your watch, your ring, your necklace, your wallet, all of that was gone. In other words, you came to the conclusion you were mugged. You got that experience somewhere long time ago. Now that's a recording that you have in your mind. You walked into a dark alley, you got hit in the back, you woke up sometime later, you get this awful pain in your back, you feel that you fell, and you feel like, maybe you feel like you have broken ribs or bruised, and you're cold, you're in pain, you're really afraid what else could happen, and you got that whole recording, you got that whole experience. So let's say that is recorded somewhere in the back of your mind. Now many years later, which is now, you're walking down the road, and all of a sudden you find yourself again in a dark alley. So, what is your mind going to do now? As my question for you, what do you think your mind is going to tell you? Right, your mind will confuse the two scenarios. Thank you, Kyle. Michael says, remind you of the situation that put you in the state of fear. Walter, to take care. All right, those are nice answers, guys. I'm very curious about what other people are going to say. What do you guys think? So you got that bad experience in the past. Now you're just walking into something that seems rather similar. What is your mind going to do? Well, the whole point is this. Your mind is going to make a huge mistake. Your mind's going to make a huge mistake. It's going to identify this situation here with that situation there. In other words, it's going to say, well, you had so much trouble here, you're going to have so much trouble again now. However, this dark alley is not the same as that one. That's where the mind makes a mistake. However, whatever is recorded in here is now going to have a force on the individual. So the person, again, will experience fear. He will again experience anxiousness. He might be in a state of panic. Whatever was recorded here might be 20 different emotions. All these emotions are going to come back and affect him again. It's going to run on full automatic. Now you actually see what is happening here. There's something there that controls you and you don't control it. Let's give a very, very simple practical example. Let's say you have to speak in public and all of a sudden you had that knot in your stomach and you got the butterflies in your stomach and your legs become kind of shaky and you try to keep the paper still, but your paper is shaking and you cannot really control yourself. There's something there in the mind that controls you, and it confuses the old situation with the new one. The new one, it says, oh, there's an awful lot of people here. and there was a recording somewhere where an awful lot of people were involved, and it made you feel very, very uncomfortable. So now you can actually have different people or different situations or different locations that your mind is going to mix up. Remember at the beginning of the webinar I asked you, like, do you sometimes feel uncomfortable when certain people are present, or in the presence of certain people? Or are you uncomfortable in certain situations? Or are you uncomfortable in certain locations? Well, that is actually exactly this mechanism. You're faced with a certain thing in front of you, a person, location, situation, and your mind confuses it with something else in your mind that is somewhere hidden, and it now affects you. Now, what happens? You obviously wanted to go that way, and this one actually wants you to go the opposite way. And remember, once again, we have the problem. So how many times do we attack the problem? Well, have you ever heard that we only use like 10% of our potential? That means like you have like 10% here and 90% pulling you back. Does that make some sense, guys? Does that make some sense that the fear, the discomfort, the uncertainty is bigger than your own confidence to do something successfully? Does that actually make sense? Kyle, you say absolutely. Walter, yeah, whatever it is, it makes sense. Okay. In other words, it just tells you there is certain things here in your mind let's say bad experiences, which are recordings in the mind that can be triggered by the present. And now the bad experience from the past can actually affect you. That is basically the simplicity of it, right? So it's actually a very simple mechanism. It's more explained in this book as well. Now, I have a quick question. If you're tracking, so if you see that this is happening in your life, you actually, for example, you have no direction, like what we started with in the beginning. This is because there's something there that makes everything into a question mark. What is it that I really want to do in life? What is my calling? What is the thing that really makes me happy? There's some mental block there that keeps you from knowing. Now, the good news is it can actually be handled. That's the good news. But nevertheless, there's some mental block there that keeps you from knowing what is the thing that you really want to go for in life. What's your calling? What's your direction? What is that one thing that would make you happy? You can find the answer. The answer is already in you. But somehow a lid needs to be taken off. Now, likewise, you may have the idea like, well, I do know what I want to do in life, but it's so hard to move in that direction because I keep running into all these barriers. I find it hard to talk to people. I find it hard to be with people. I find it difficult to be in this situation or in that location, and so on. So my question is this. I just got another, I'm going to read Lila in a second and Kyle. But I want to ask you this question. So, do you see how these problems, like these opposing factors, like you want to do something, and then your mind tells you, no, stay away from that. Do you see how these difficulties actually affect you in your life? Just a yes or no would be good. Then I have an idea. If you're actually aware of how these difficulties, these problems, how they are affecting your life. Just curious, are you aware of the fact, like, what that means? How these things affect you in your life? There's certain things that you feel uncomfortable about doing. Can you see how it's affecting you? Does it make you a spoil sport, for example? You cannot participate. You cannot be with certain people. You cannot do certain things. There's certain things that are holding you back. There's something that is limiting whatever it is that you want to be or do. Do you see how that is affecting you? Okay, Lila, just reading your comment, giving to being pushed to do something different than I want, so the other person fulfills the person's goal, and I get diverted from my goal. Yeah, I totally get that. Thank you very much. Kyle, get something can be done about it. That's cool. All right, Philip, yeah, why would be here? Okay, thank you very much. Walter, yes, maybe others are also confused. Good. I find that I keep my goal secret. It's easier to reach my goals. That's a very, very good one, Lila. It's very good. Okay, now, here's the next question. So if you are aware that there's something holding you back, that there's something there that's limiting your potential, that you have this feeling like, I cannot be what I want to be. I cannot do what I want to do. I even cannot have what I really want to have. That limitations, these self-limitations, these self-imposed limitations. What would happen? What would happen if that doesn't resolve? Or even gets worse? What will happen if that doesn't resolve? So, I guess that would not be good, right? I guess that would not be good. In other words, here's the thing, and that's what I want to show you. Obviously, we only have 1 hour tonight. I hope we covered some stuff that may have given you some insights. But here's the thing: if you would be, let's say, if you would be a mechanic, and your car breaks down, and let's say your engine gives up on you, and you open the hood, and you just do a quick inspection, and maybe you find yourself with a smile on your face. That's a €10 fix. Now, if you wouldn't be a mechanic, and your car stops, then you might get a headache. You might think, oh my God, that's going to be the wages of a whole month to just get my car fixed. What's the difference between a mechanic and not being a mechanic? The mechanic actually had the knowledge on how to solve it, and actually gave him quite some freedom. He could handle these barriers quite easily. The other person didn't have the knowledge, and he was still full of puzzles and confusions and let's say headaches, right? So in other words, knowledge is going to help you. Knowledge is going to get you somewhere. So basically, what I want to show you tonight is that there's this excellent starter. It's kind of like a thin book. You can see it's got a, well, it's not thick at all. It's got a glossary in the back, which is to say it's a book that's got its own dictionary. And what do you find in that book? You basically find 8 chapters on the mind, on efficiency, on, well, let's see. So, for example, how to handle confusions, how to be more in control in any area of your life. Then the secret of efficiency. Then a chapter, for example, on how to improve relationships with others and improve your social skills, right? Some other things as well. So basically, Pavel, who is sitting here right in front of me, I think he has an offer. He wants to show you something. Maybe that is, you got some slides here, Pavel? Right? Okay, good. So what do you have in mind for us? Maybe you can show something on the screen. I'm not sure. Could be number one if you have more than one. What would it be? It's just you just put me in a small pop-up. Okay, good. So all right. So that's okay. Problems of workbook, which is actually this book. So it handles work. It also handles life as a game. In other words, how to get more freedoms when you actually go through these barriers in life. Number two, is there more, Pavel? Okay, so we actually covered something on the mind, and there's some exclusive videos on how that stuff works. So you learn more about how does your mind work, what is it that holds you back, and how do you handle that? How do you resolve that? Okay, Pavel, is there more? Okay, well, that sounds good. So you can even have a personalized consultation. Maybe there's something more specific in your case. You might actually have some people around you who make your life really difficult. We didn't get into that tonight, but it just could happen, right? Or maybe there's some kind of like a trauma from the past, or like a certain situation that you have never overcome, and it's still weighing you down, whatever it is. Yeah, but it could be handled in some kind of like a personalized consultation with some advice. Okay? And what else do you have, Pavel? All right, so Pavel is asking me, like, would that be worth 150 euros? Well, okay, well, that depends on, well, whoever. Maybe if you really want to solve your issues and want to have a better future, that's probably worth it. But what do you think, Pavel, we should really do? What is that you want to offer tonight? Oh, all right. So Pavel actually wants to offer you the Problems of Workbook, exclusive video on how the mind works, personalized in consultation for those who want that, which is 70 euros. I think the book actually comes with free shipping. That is all across Europe. Now the beauty is that you can actually have the book well, I'm not sure, but you can have it in a bunch of languages. You can have it in German, you can have it in Portuguese, you can have it in Spanish, you can have it in undoubtedly more than 15, 20 different languages. Right? Is there a link, Pavel, for it? Okay, good. So there it is, guys. I'm just gonna, my throat is letting me down, so I'm gonna drink some more tea. Maybe you want to have a look at what the book is about. All right, what an amazing offer. Okay, well, that sounds good. Kyle, I know you can say that because I know you have the book. But anyway, that's a great comment. So the personalized consultation, guys, if you like that, it can come with a personality test where you can actually see your strong points, your weak points, and you can actually see what it is that is like the weakest link in the chain of life, and how to fix that. Yeah. Now I would assume that you have opened it, seen it in the meantime. Like I said, it comes with free shipping. Guys, do you have any questions? Any questions for me? Let me see, somebody had a question. I remember more or less in the beginning, not sure if it was you, Lila, like how do you handle it? Let me see if I can find it again. Nadia, okay, can you make more example about this? Okay, so Nadia, yeah, of course, like I said, frankly, only had an hour. Tomorrow, we're going to go into the Mind Explained, which is actually from 7 to 8. we're going to go much deeper into that whole subject. But Nadia, yeah, did you get some answers tonight? Philip, why Scientology? Well, very, very simple, Philip. Very simple. You know, this is we happen to live on a planet where actually you're not supposed to know certain things, right? There's certain things that you're not supposed to know about nutrition. There's certain things that you're not supposed to know about health. Of course, we went through the epidemic, and we have a censorship. Like, for example, right now, if you're from the UK, then you're probably aware of what is going on. So censorship is all about the stuff that you're not supposed to know. In other words, if there's something really valuable there that you're not supposed to know, it will be attacked. That is just the simplicity. What Scientology is, well, I can only tell you, find out for yourself. Get a book, read something, and you might find some answers, maybe not. That is all the way up to you. Yeah. What I can say is that I have an engineering background. I was never the smartest, I was never the dumbest, but actually it helped me a lot, and basically it helped me to overcome a lot of issues. One of these issues, for example, is no more back off on doing phone calls. The calling center didn't get me through. It got me through to some extent, but I still had the butterflies. That is handled, for example. I wouldn't speak in public, and I was speaking public all the time. Yeah. So in other words, it's definitely there to help you, to give you a boost in your self-confidence, your IQ, and your competences. Philip, well, I'm not sure if you're just here to, to get people upset or whatever it is. You can have your own idea about it. That's fine, Okay, Philip. Well, you know what? I would just go to Scientology.tv. Scientology.tv. It will give you a lot of documentaries. It will give you nice stuff, things about the mind, things about life. It's like a big toolbox for life. Yeah, that's what it is. All right, guys. So I figure there's no more questions. It's almost 10 minutes past 9. I hope I was able to give you some insights. I hope you got something out of it. It was great to have you here tonight. It was lovely to see, that people were participating. It was great. So once again, thank you very much, and I hope you have a great rest of the evening, and hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.